Hello and welcome to the Satluj Podcast. Ever since the fall of the Sikh Empire in 1849, Sikhs have been faced with a seemingly never-ending battle to preserve their cultural identity. This is a battle that is still increasingly being fought today against its greatest threat, an extremist Hindutva agenda desperate to bury Sikh identity. The methods used to undermine and destroy Sikh identity does take many forms, some obvious, some more subtle. Well, to discuss how this insidious agenda designed to erase Sikh culture is increasingly being rolled out, I'm joined by our regular guest today, Dr. Singh Grewal, MD. Dr. Grewal, welcome. Thank you for joining us once again today.
Good morning, Angus. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, waheguru ji ki fateh.
Now, Dr. Grewal, it is clear that the Hindutva extremists are intent on destroying Sikh identity through many different ways, but primarily by targeting its history and, where it can, rewriting this history to suit the Hindu agenda. Could you perhaps give us some examples of where this is happening?
So, it's a timely subject. There are many examples, within our given time. I think I'll focus on some of the more well-known that people can understand. So Baba Banda Singh Bahadur was a Sikh general who Guru Gobind Singh sent to liberate Punjab. He was a pivotal figure in Sikh history, known for establishing the first Sikh state and implementation of significant social and administrative reforms. He led the first major Sikh offensive against the Mughal Empire, culminating in the capture of Sirhind and the establishment of Sikh rule in the region. His key achievements included abolishing Zimidari system, where the land was given to the people who were tillers rather than the people who ruled, granting land ownership to farmers, establishing a new Sikh administration. He establishes a Sikh rule. He established Nanak Shahi. He introduced Nanak Shahi coins. So the first Sikh coin for the first Sikh empire was introduced by him, symbolizing the establishment of sovereignty. He established a new calendar for the Sikhs, making a distinct entity for the Sikhs. He inspired a resistance, and his efforts basically end up the end of Mughal Empire. So it was the beginning or the end of Mughal Empire, his efforts. He is remembered for challenging oppressive system, establishing a new era of Sikh power. His martyrdom day was June 25th. On his martyrdom day, Haryana government, which is a BJP government, put ad in the newspapers calling Veer Banda Viragi Day, Veer Banda Viragi Day, Brave Banda Viragi Day. So basically changing the narrative. The Sikhs we call Baba Banda Singh Bahadur. So SGPC objected, but they did not change. So what they're trying to do is to change one after the other Sikh narrative to Hindu narratives, claiming all of them Hindus by changing the history. In Sikh history, the term Baba is an honorific title used to express reverence and respect for elders, spiritual leaders, and individuals who embody piety and guidance. It is not just a literal term for father or grandfather, which is also being used in the families commonly, but a symbol of nurturing and guiding presence within the Sikh tradition. Several prominent figures in Sikh history are known as Baba, signifying their significant contribution and revered status.
So, Dr. Grewal, if I could just interrupt there. So as far as I understand it then, we have this great Sikh hero from the past. He stood up to the Mughals, he established many important things that became part of Sikh culture. But in recent times, the modern Hindu agenda has been to reframe his life and basically give him a new title, a Hindu-based title, to appropriate him into as if somehow he was a Hindu rather than a Sikh.
Yes, they're trying to destroy our history in claiming that he was a Hindu when he was a Sikh general. He established Sikh rule and he gave up his life fighting for the justice and the teaching of gurus. How can he be a Hindu? He was not a Hindu. He's a Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, the one we will remember forever. But they are trying to change Sikh history. So if we don't fight, if we don't try to change what they're saying or fight for preservation of our history, then future generations will not know. That's what they're trying to do. So another example is they call Veer Val Divas. Veer is like a brother, or Veer can be for brave. So Veer Val Divas observed every year on December 26th. This BJP government just started in the memory of sacrifice of two younger sons of Guru Gobind Singh. So Guru Gobind Singh Ji had 4 sons. The first one, Sahibzada Ajit Singh, was 17 and the Jujhar Singh was 13. They died in the Battle of Chamkaur. The 2 younger sons, by treachery of Brahman, were arrested by the Mughal ruler of Sirhind, and they were bricked alive because they refused to convert to Islam by Wazir Khan, Mughal governor of Sirhind. So they were killed on December 26th. So we call them Baba Zorav Singh and Baba Fateh Singh because of their exemplary sacrifice, their maturity and their sacrifice beyond description. You can't compare to anybody with any age. So the Sikh religion of today stands on their sacrifice. If they didn't sacrifice, they converted, then Sikh history would have ended. So they are the foundation of today's Sikhism. By sacrificing their lives, they kept the Sikhism alive. So we call them Babas or Sahibzadas. This Hindu government has started celebrating their day. What they did, they created a program where men, women, they trained with video. They went to different gurdwaras in India and said, look, how come they call this in November Nehru's birthday as a children's day when we had these children who sacrificed the Sikhs? Very emotional people. When they start saying good things, they didn't understand what they're trying to do. So now they start celebrating Veer Val Divas Day. Val is a child. They were not children. They were more mature than any of Modi's government people. They understood what it meant to sacrifice. So they're trying to minimize their sacrifice by calling them children. So it's a big insult to the Sikh community.
So again, it's another example of Hindu appropriating, taking these Sikh heroes and reframing it again into a bit more of a Hindu narrative. So again, it's sucking away the Sikh culture and imposing this Hindu culture upon it as if they were somehow, it's diluting is the word I'm looking for. It's diluting the actual Sikhi of the story, of the history, and injecting a form of Hinduism. Somehow it's bringing it into the Hindu fold. So again, it's another prime example of that. Am I right?
So another example is General Zorav Singh was a Sikh general in the Maharaja Ranjit Singh's empire who conquered most of the West Tibet. The strategy was to control the trade routes. Eventually, he died in one of the battles. So they have now started calling him a Hindu general who conquered Tibet. He worked for Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who was a Sikh ruler of Maharaja. So they're trying to change anything of pride or Sikh history to Hindu fold. And this attack continues. There are many, many other examples, but these three, I think, are the most important that I can remember today and we can discuss. So what they are trying to do, they are doing a historical revisionism. So they are revising the history to bring into their fold. So when a government tries to change the history of a minority community to influence their thinking, they are typically engaging in a form of historical revisionism aimed at achieving specific political and social goals. By controlling and manipulation, they change the identity. This can create internal division and weaken their collective identity for the minority community. Controlling the narrative. By controlling the historical narrative allows government to suppress dissenting voices and promote a version of history that aligns with their interests and justify their policies, potentially leading to social and political control. So they're trying to make heroes of the Sikh heroes in Hindu culture, because then it helps them cultivate the Hindutva culture, which is dangerous. Cultural erasure and assimilation. So by erasing the true history of the Sikhs, they are trying to assimilate Sikhs into Hindu fold. Promoting assimilation. This can be a deliberate attempt to force minority groups to adopt the dominant culture, values, and practice, resulting in the loss of unique traditions, language, and social structure. This allows the government to maintain their power structure by suppressing the minority community. Promoting stereotypes and misunderstanding, government manipulates historical narrative. It can foster ignorance, stereotype, biases towards the minority groups. Hindering social progress, preventing recognition of injustice. By downplaying or denying historical injustice, the government can impede social progress and avoid acknowledgement and accountability of their past harms, hindering history and recognition process. Without accurate understanding of history, addressing present-day inequalities and working towards a more inclusive and equitable society becomes difficult. In summary, government is trying to change the history of minority communities and attempting to manipulate public understanding of the past to control the present and shape the future, often at the expense of marginalized groups, identifies group identities and well-being and social progress. So, in summary, that's what they're trying to do, is to bring Sikhs into Hinduism, which they have now been able to do in Article 25. So it is very important for us to fight it.
Yeah, so I was going to say, Dr. Grewal, the evidence there is very clear. You set out a very clear case that this agenda is in existence. There is a very deliberate agenda to appropriate Sikh culture and absorb it into Hindu culture, and therefore try and destroy and undermine Sikh culture. So, of course, the question then comes is, well, what can the Sikh community do about this? What practical steps, what can people within the community do to fight back against this agenda?
So there are several steps we can take. I will go through some of them. Not necessarily they are the only steps we can take. First is maintaining traditional practice. A minority religion can focus on preserving their rituals, ceremony, and customs, even in private setting if necessary, which I think the Sikhs, especially diaspora, are trying to do through education in gurdwaras, and by other means. There are many Khalsa schools in Canada, some in US, so that will help us preserving history. language preservation is very important. Maintaining their distinct language is vital, as it is a carrier of culture, identity, traditions, and spiritual knowledge. So this is, I think, pursued quite seriously. Several schools in Canada now teaching Punjabi. By learning Punjabi, the Sikh children can be connected to Guru Granth Sahib. It's hard to understand everything by translation. Even in California, some of the schools in Yuba City, Fresno are teaching Punjabi in the regular schools, and more and more awareness. Intergenerational teaching. This is, I think, the most important step that I can remember. By sitting at night, listening stories from parents, grandparents of Sikh bravery, Sikh history, passing on the knowledge and value, belief to younger generation that we learned. We need to continue to teach this to our children and grandchildren. I think this can be done at the family level very, very effectively. It worked for us. We learned a lot by listening to those bedtime stories. Promoting religious literacy, educating members about their faith and significant strengthens their identity and understanding. I think it's being done through social media, gurdwaras, and many other places. Outside the India, I think is working well, but inside the India, there's a lot of suppression. I think the doing at the family level, the personal level is still very, very important. Developing internal institutions where there's a sense of community, building bridges with the other communities, cultural exchange program, challenging the stereotypes, dispel misconception and combat negative stereotypes in media, education, and public discourse is essential. Advocating for religious freedom, minority religions can work to advocate for their right to practice their faith freely and without discrimination. So here, I think not only for the Sikhs have to collaborate with any other minority community, so everybody is free, whether it's a Muslim, Hindu, Sikh. So everybody should be allowed to practice their faith. Seeking support from advocation of human rights groups, building alliances, engaging in policy advocacy. Sometimes strategic litigation may work. I am not sure if that can work in India because there's no free justice system. But here in some cases, if there's a discrimination, especially America, Canada, you may be more familiar with England. I think this can help by going to the legal system. International engagement, engaging with the international bodies, human rights organizations, raises awareness. Utilizing digital tools. Now today we have social media, we have a TV channel like Satluj TV, and there's some others which can be very, very helpful, and we need to use them more effectively where we can preserve our culture and religious dialogue, mobilize support, connect with a broader audience, create online communities. By creating online spaces can provide sense of community and supporting for members, particularly when they face social isolation or discrimination. There are several groups. I don't know how many in each group, but they are Zoom meetings. Some in US, Canada, basically focusing on the religious aspect of the Sikhs, so people can learn history, tradition, and have a dialogue with each other, question the people who are more knowledgeable and learning. So that I think is very effective. We need to do that more. So in summary, a minority religion can navigate the challenges of a dominant religious environment by strengthening its internal identity, engaging in interfaith dialogue, seeking external support and advocacy, and utilizing digital tools effectively. By adopting a proactive and multifaceted approach, minority religion can work toward their survival and their preservation of the unique culture and faith for the future generation. So I feel all of the above are very, very important. First thing is, in medicine, first thing is we learn to diagnose. So now we have diagnosed the problem, what they're trying to do. They're trying to assimilate, kill our culture, kill our history. So now we have diagnosed, and now it's up to us to make an effort and make sure we don't succumb to their policies and become Hindus again, which we don't want to. So I think the responsibility lies on my community. With efforts like Satluj TV, with your help and other, we need to tell this story to everybody, what's happening to us, and we need to resist and we need to fight. So, in US, a couple of the places I read, like the ladies who fight for the women's right to vote, their slogan was, resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. We need to remember, resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. So this is a divine duty that we have. We resist and we rebel and we survive.
A very important message to finish on, but there we must leave it. But we'll be talking again with Dr. Grewal soon to continue our discussion. Dr. Grewal, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Angus. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
And thank you for watching the Satluj TV podcast. We will see you next time.